Hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about stuff. A large part of the narrative over the course of the last couple of months when it comes to Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency market, has for some reason or another shifted nearly completely to the idea of ETFs. If you've been following this channel for, any more than a year, as it's just about it's still less than 3 months since we've actually had the Bitcoin ETFs. The news that we used to get before, that was actually the significant news, was the levels of Bitcoin accumulation by other companies who were getting into the space or who were already in the space. So I found it a little bit perplexing that the news has nearly shifted over to the side of now nearly exclusively BlackRock. I'll try and explain so you get a little bit more context of what I'm talking about. So years ago, we had companies who were entering the cryptocurrency space who announced that they were buying 300 Bitcoin, 500 Bitcoin, 1,000 Bitcoin. This is still a huge amount of Bitcoin. Keep this all in mind always. If a company buys 1,000 Bitcoin, that takes away essentially 999 Bitcoin from every other millionaire and every other billionaire on the planet who also wants to acquire an entire coin. They can never do so, ever. Mathematically, they cannot do so. This is why I always made sure to mention in the other videos as well. A lot of times we'll hear of an acquisition of 5,000 Bitcoin, and I think to people it sounds like an acquisition of $5,000, and people go, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. But when it's in reference to things that are happening with BlackRock and Fidelity, especially right now, and it's hyper in the news, it revolves around US dollar numbers. So I think a lot of people simply aren't used to pricing things mentally in Bitcoin. It took me a while. It took me about 2 or 3 years to actually even think in Satoshis, nonetheless in the amount of Bitcoin that's moving around or that's being accumulated. It takes a while to try to train yourself, because we will get to a world probably very soon where people are just thinking in Satoshi value. The other part is that now what we're hearing when it comes to the BlackRock news, once again, it has to do with the fact that they were accumulating or are receiving around $500 million per day in money that's moving into their funds. Understandable, right, when it comes to $500 million. But if you hear that equal Bitcoin amount, it doesn't really ring the same amount of bells that anything else normally would. So when we do get news or have gotten news before in the past, and this is kind of the main point, a lot of the focus revolved around the cumulative number from these other companies who were buying up Bitcoin that essentially were kind of off the market, as they've told us in separate instances themselves that the Bitcoin that we're accumulating, we do not plan on selling. There's no instance in the future where we're planning on getting rid of it. A lot of the heads of these companies also have told us that they know other countries who are also buying up tons of Bitcoin, who are mining Bitcoin for themselves. And they basically are expecting to enter a world in the next decade where Bitcoin becomes an actual reserve currency in some sort of way. In what way exactly, we do not know. So we know that the coins that are being taken off of the market are not going to go back into the market unless they're by retail investors, everyday normal people who are buying up fragments. The price goes down, they end up getting scared. Those coins go off the market because all these people are buying. This news came out and I was really expecting more people to have covered it, to have spoken about it, and there was barely any coverage around it. And I looked at the numbers and I was like, it's because it's not as spectacular sounding as the numbers from BlackRock. For those of you who don't, and it's literally BlackRock is the entire narrative right now, and I think it's throwing people off because other people are still accumulating. This isn't like a BlackRock, BlackRock's not the only entity who's buying. And that's what a lot of people are missing. So they control the narrative as they are BlackRock, the company that owns the world. But then people are also missing out on the other numbers that are also happening. For those of you who you should know at this point, there's a company called Tether. They make the Tether stablecoin. And they announced it's been around a good 1.5 or 2 years, and not them bragging, but essentially that they do make a lot of money from their coin. Who knows the completion of their operations and all the ways that they're making money. but a large portion of it has to do with the fees that are incurred as you're using their stablecoin. I assume it's 1 or 2 cents or something like that, but it adds up very quick when there's billions of dollars per day being processed just on Tether. So they mentioned before that at the end of every quarter, the profits that they make from Tether, the coin, they're going to allocate them to the side. If you've been here the last year and a half, you might remember the allocation. They announced that 15% of their profits, they're going to be allocating specifically into Bitcoin. Just Bitcoin. So when this news popped up, I expected more people to be like, oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. But no one was talking about it. So Tether recently, during this latest acquisition, purchased, very exact number, 8,888 Bitcoin. And it was around, how much was it for? For $630 million. So I'm not sure how we got to this point where a company acquiring $630 million worth of anything is no longer newsworthy. I don't know how people got to the idea that only BlackRock is relevant in this entire conversation anymore. And this is why I also think that a lot of times when you explain to people, or when I say to people that Bitcoin should be well above $100,000, it's not because specifically because of BlackRock. There's so many other things that are happening. Even the fact that, for those of you who missed the video, it's like 2 or 3 weeks ago, the people from BlackRock also said that they're buying Bitcoin for themselves. So not even including what's happening with the actual ETFs, they're buying their own Bitcoin, and so are all these other companies as well. We're just not hearing about those numbers because there's acquisitions and shell companies and all these other things that are also taking place. But the other companies who've been in the cryptocurrency space for a while, who are actively always accumulating, barely make it into the spotlight anymore. And it's not like I'm trying to like hold them up or like, remember Tether. No, it's like, do you understand how, and this isn't even all of it. Do you understand how much 8,888 Bitcoin is? There's currently, at the time of me making this video, there's 900 Bitcoin or less. The other day it was 850, 900 Bitcoin or less created per day. They're literally almost at the point of 10 times how much Bitcoin was even created in one day. They scooped all of that up. $630 million. It's literally 8,887 people, millionaires and billionaires, will never be able to acquire those coins. And you might wonder, because I saw some other people before asking, why am I putting so much emphasis on the millionaires and billionaires? Because these are the people who hold the wealth on our planet. Don't know if you missed that part. So when they can't have it, you can't have it. That's one of the main points to be made. If there's X amount of millionaires and billionaires on the planet, and there's another 8,887 who will never ever own an entire Bitcoin. This is the Bitcoin scarcity. This is the supply crunch. This is what's not there for them anymore. This is why when we talk about the actual, like, if you can evenly divide all the Bitcoin, how much Bitcoin there would be, it's constantly dwindling for how much you're going to be able to have. And keeping in mind, once again, that we're the early adopters. Bitcoin's been around for 15 years, and there's this misconception that people are late. No. We're at the very beginning of where all of this is going to go. There are going to be people, I told you before in other videos, you are going to know people in the future who are going to brag to you that they're in possession of 50,000 Satoshis. Because that's all that they're going to be able to afford because Bitcoin's price has risen so high. We've gone over that before. How many people do you know? This was also, I mean, if you haven't seen the CNBC video where they're talking to people in the States about how much like extra income they have, or like, you know, do they have like an emergency fund? It was like 70-80% don't have an emergency fund. They could not come up with $500 if they needed it. 500. Nonetheless, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 for an actual emergency. How many people do you know right now have an extra $4,000 to put into Bitcoin? Now imagine if Bitcoin's price keeps rising. Imagine we end up getting to a $500,000 Bitcoin and people like really go, oh crap, like I should have been buying Bitcoin this entire time. They'll be able to buy fragments of fragments of fragments. Even crazier, this is the part that I thought that people would be like, cool. Something's happening here. This isn't the first time that Tether has bought Bitcoin. So while they bought 8,000 something or other right now, Tether's holdings of Bitcoin in the last year and a half, they now have 75,354 Bitcoin, currently valued at $5.34 billion. One company, for those not keeping count, that 75,353 millionaires and billionaires who will never be able to have an entire coin. I told you before, if you have a fourth of a Bitcoin, if you have half a Bitcoin, you are literally part of the 1% of the 1% of Bitcoin holders on the planet. There will be billions of people who will never have more Bitcoin than you currently have right now. Yeah, barely made it into the news. For those of you who want to read the article, it will be in the description below like usual. But I am constantly shocked that people keep skipping over this news as if it's not relevant, as if it's not happening. When we talk about the fact that BlackRock is going to have probably over 1 million Bitcoin by the end of summer if their accumulation trend continues, Tether's probably going to have over 100,000, not 150,000 by the end of this year. That's constantly more and more Bitcoin. The supply crunch is going to shock the living heck out of this market. And a lot of people continuously, I don't know what it is, go for it. Whenever prices are down. Bitcoin has nearly almost tripled in a year. Or whenever prices are trending sideways, there's this really weird thing that kind of takes over the cryptocurrency space where everyone's like, well, I guess this is it. Maybe I'll stop buying. And people start buying up once again when the price ends up going up, completely forgetting all of the news. I make videos every day. Every single day. Think of that. There's news like this every single day in the market. And for people to like lose faith or become bearish or just simply, is weird, is incredibly weird. This isn't MicroStrategy. This isn't Fidelity. This isn't, what's the other one? Kathy Woods' company. Baja, whatever it's called. Yeah. Just thought I'd share the news silently. Tether has 75,354 Bitcoin. And they're going to continuously buy more basically forever as long as Tether is around. Yeah, I do hope that you've all enjoyed and understood that there's not a lot of Bitcoin left. There's not a lot of Bitcoin left. There's not a lot of Bitcoin left for you. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.